Nice.
You think I am?
Oh,
You're Paul Ash.
That's right. Comes with an extension.
Oh, well, thank you.
How's that? Now
I
you
can't
can
hear
move Mike
anything.
and move out on the front step, the sidewalk. Look at that, man. Look at that.
Look at that. Now, see, now people you can actually see who you are because it's, when you have the voice and then everything is kind of off to the side. It's like, who the hell is
I'm not
talking?
getting any sound out.
Who the
Is
hell
that
is
another way?
talking?
Not playing?
No, it's not.
It's because it's not even plugged in.
Oh. There we go. Hey.
Austin can hear.
Yep.
We are here. It's like Horton hears a who.
I got my hearing aids in now. You can hear now.
You in, Paul?
I'm double.
I think we're gonna have a call in this morning.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Who's it going to be from?
From someone from the Board of Finance.
Oh.
So.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Nothing like talking dollars in the morning.
Well, it's an important subject because there's so many things that are going on.
Well, are we talking about
with the Board of Finance and what's happening with the senior center, and we've heard from like the Democratic side and how they've voted, and now I want to go ahead and get an idea of what the Republicans are doing. So let's see what we got here. Good morning. Is this Dan Webster?
Good morning. This is Dan Webster.
Good morning. How are you, Dan?
Good. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Paul, say something. Say something.
Hello.
Can you hear Paul?
Hello.
Yeah.
And Austin?
Hello?
Hello.
All right. So here we go. So anyway, thank you for calling in and taking part in the show today.
Sure thing.
I do want to say, first of all, your son pitched a hell of a ball game on Saturday.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job scattering the hits around the full game. He he's a work in progress, having missed that sophomore season. That hurt a lot of kids, missing last season. I'm just happy to see the kids back out on the ball field. The boys of summer are back, so and the ladies of summer as well. The Wolverines softball team is really doing a good job as well.
The Wolverines softball team, all they need to do is put cutouts out there and Kaylin Waldron.
That's it, right? She is phenomenal.
She's crazy.
Boy, she's lights out. And Evan Gilgenbach pitched the gem of a game yesterday as well again, and St. Bernard's lost the heartbreaker in 8 innings. But what a pitcher's duel that was! Great game.
Well, one of the things, like for example, he's given up 2 runs now in the season.
Right, 2 runs, and I think something like through 2 games, like 2 games plus an inning of closing against Putnam. I think he's given up like 3 or 4 hits. So phenomenal, lights out.
But even yesterday, one of the runs that he gave up was unearned.
Yeah, the first inning was an unearned run. We had an error, and their catcher, his name is from St. Bernard's, Joey Basso. What a phenomenal baseball player he is. We had the opportunity to play with him, and he was their number 3 hitter, I think, the catcher. And he, that kid he hits the ball like a grown man. I think he's a sophomore. So credit to him because he's a heck of a ball player.
Absolutely. So it looks like there's some there's a good little future with Grizzled baseball, as this year matures and then going into next year. I was watching Evan pitch. I've seen a couple of his performances already. Some of his pitches are just dirty.
Yeah, he's got a dirty off speed. I mean, then he comes at you with that high cheese fastball on side, and he can't do anything with it.
No. I've seen so many knees buckle.
Yeah. No, so, he's definitely come a long way, and the rest of the team. A lot of freshmen on the team, but I look forward to next year and the years after. They definitely building a good program there.
Yeah, one of the things that Kevin Merchant and I were talking about on the air, as far as the kids are concerned, that the kids that are freshmen this year, before the pandemic, they were playing baseball in the Little League.
Right.
I mean, it really wasn't much of a chance. And all of a sudden, boom, they're freshmen and sophomores, in high school. So, and starting.
Yeah. You know me, Mike. You and I go way back. We've known
Yeah.
each other since high school and probably grade school, I think, you know.
Yep.
And then when you were a DJ over at Skate In, remember those days too.
God. Try to
We're dating
forget.
ourselves, but you know, I was always a baseball fan growing up. I played baseball. You know, went through Grizzled, played baseball myself at Grizzled, and you know, my son Nolan, and he has a younger brother named Ryan. So I have a Nolan and a Ryan.
Are you serious? Nolan
I'm dead
Ryan?
serious. Yes, Nolan and Ryan. So his little brother is playing. He plays junior league for Junior City Little League, and they actually had, I think, something like 22 kids come out for the team, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
But you know, you made an important point. A lot of kids hadn't played since Little League, so you know, even at that league, junior league, there are kids that came out for the junior league that the last time they played baseball was in the minor league division down at the Little League complex.
Right.
So they were 11 years old playing on what we knew as the farm system field when we were kids. Never played a game at the major division, so that, you know, the Little League field with the lights. Never played on that field, and now they're up playing on the high school field because of the pandemic.
Exactly.
So it's a little crazy when you think about it that in that perspective.
It is. It is. So let's talk Board of Finance. Let's do that for a few minutes here. So now the last Board of Finance meeting. Well, the last one was a regular meeting a couple of nights ago, last week, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go into smack dab right into the senior center cost overruns.
Okay.
As far as the money that is need to be to complete the center, was it $760,000?
Yep, that's what we voted on.
Okay, so that's the number. How do you feel about that personally? Being I mean, you were a Republican on the board. We've heard
I
from
am a Republican, yes.
We've heard from some of the Democrats that were on the board. Now I want to hear your side. So what is your take on this?
So I did get a chance to listen to after the fact Mr. Davis, our chairman, who I think is doing a fantastic job, by the way. Scott and I get along very well. And, you know, I did listen to some of the things, you know, there's been a lot of talk about party line votes. Yeah. Well, I guess if you look at it, it was a party line vote, but at the end of the day, the tie was broken by the Democratic Party. So, you know, I get the connotation that, you know, it's a party line vote, and this is, you know, Republicans all siding one way. But party line vote means, you know, both sides voted the way they felt, and no side should be, no side should be talked about in a light that, you know, feels like, you know, they did wrong. Listening to our constituents, people that call us, I have, you know, a lot of, as you know, I born and raised in Grizzled, have a lot of family members in town, a lot of friends in town, and have been talking to a lot of people about their thoughts on it. So, you know, going way back, you know, I've been 4 terms, Board of Finance, going way back to the beginning. The reason I got on the board was so that I could be in the know. So a lot of people out there, you know, want information, and I was in the same boat when I was in my 30s, and said, you know, if I want to be in the know and get the answers to the questions, maybe I'll just run for the Board of Finance, which is what I did. So, having said that, you know, I think, but to answer your question, my thoughts on the party line vote, or reasons why I won't speak for others, but my thoughts on the reason that I voted the way I did was taking a step back and looking at the history of how this project unfolded, right? So it went to referendum in May of 2019, and I voted for it. I'll be honest with you, I voted for it. I voted for all of the infrastructure improvement projects that we were going to do.
There were 3 of them.
Excuse me?
And there were 3 of them.
Yes. Yep. The gas line conversion at the school, which I was a member of that committee, which incidentally will probably come in under budget. We've got some commissioning left to do. That project will come in under budget for the gas line conversions for the school campus. And then the road infrastructure project, which has not yet been started. And then obviously the senior center project, which was voted on. All 3 were approved. And the senior center project is where it is right now. And having said that, like I said, I voted in favor of all of the projects to support every project because I felt they were all needed. So May of 2019 obviously passed referendum, and October of 2019 we now find out was when it was well known, at least in some circles, being evidently the senior center building committee, And the Board of Selectmen at the time, which was not the current Board of Selectmen, just want to go on record and state that. It was the previous Board of Selectmen prior to that November election. So it was well known at that time. Roll forward to this December, January, and it was brought up to me by taxpayers that hey, we're hearing that the senior center project is going to be over budget. They're not going to be able to complete the project with about approximately another $1 million, 900,000 and change or so. I said, no, that can't be true, because we just had it was actually the day after a Board of Finance meeting. I said, that can't be true. We've been asking, this is on the Board of Finance agenda every month, the regular agenda for bonding project updates.
Right.
And every month we would ask, how's the senior center project going? Is it on track? Is it going to be on time? Is it going to be on budget? And we were told all that time, as recently as the night before this citizen, kind of said this project is running over. The night before, we were told, yeah, it's on time. We were a little bit behind due to COVID, probably 3 to 4 weeks. Should be done in or around February.
So who told you that?
What we were told.
Who was?
So some of the meetings, the first selectman would give an update. Some of the meetings where he was not there, the finance director would give us updates on behalf of I'm assuming on behalf of the first selectman. So lo and behold, the very next day we find out, and honestly, Dana Bennett went to one of the senior center building committees meetings the very next day and found out that in fact it was going to take another 900,000 to bring this project in completed as designed. So that was a little concerning, because we had been asking the questions, and when we found that out, I had asked. I got a little bit of a background. I don't know if you know, but in my career, I am a unlimited heating, piping, and cooling contractor. So I'm an HVAC guy by trade. I've been in the facility maintenance and facility operations for the better part of my adult career, or my entire adult career, I should say. I broke into this area back in when I was 19, 20 years old, and that's what I've been doing ever since. So I had a little bit of a background, know my way around a construction project, and asked if we could get a copy of the GMP. That's the guaranteed maximum price, which on a project like that, a general contractor will give you and say, this is what it's going to cost to build the project that you want to build, and here's your guaranteed maximum price to do so. So I asked for that, and I asked for any change orders that were part of the project, or any construction reports that would support reasons why they're over budget.
Got it.
So when we got that, I quickly found out through the GMP that the referendum that we voted on for $7.6 million, which incidentally was supposed to be 7.5 and 100,000, go towards bonding costs. We quickly found out that they weren't going to be able to complete the project, and this was known in October of 2019 for the $7.6 million. So then it got into, all right, well, subsequent to the GMP, the Senior Center Building Committee had asked for, all right, well, we need to get this project down. What can we do to get the costs in line with what the voters have approved? So when I asked for that information, subsequently received it, that's when we had the first meeting of the Senior Center Building Committee at the Griswold Middle School in the auditorium. So in those documents, and there was a mountain of paperwork. There was probably a stack of paperwork that went, half a foot tall. So in those documents, as part of the GMP and the subsequent request to get the project down to the 7.6 number, there were many things that were offered up by the general contractor to reduce costs on the project. And this was prior to October, prior to the document being signed. A lot of things that I felt probably should have been explored as cost reductions were not taken advantage of. And instead, items of the project that would need to be done, there's no question ifs, ands, or buts, would need to be done for that project to get completed, were taken out of the cost of the project at the time. And when I say things that need to be completed, the things that you've all heard, the entire kitchen equipment package was taken out of the project. all of the paint, all of the millwork, floor coverings, doors, partitions in bathrooms, the fire extinguisher package for the building. Those things were deleted from the project to get the cost down in October of 2019. And, with a background in construction, you should know that those things are going to need to be paid and completed at some time in order to get a certificate of occupancy to open the building. So my aggravation with it was October of 2019, these documents were signed, taking out those things and other things left in the project that probably could have helped to defer some costs. Size of the building, changing the brick facade on the building to vinyl siding, lower cost items that were said, no, we're going to keep that in and we're going to delete these things instead.
I think Paul has a question for you.
Who's the one that signed it? Was it the building committee chairman who was responsible? Did he sign it?
That document was signed by the first selectman.
Okay.
So that when I started looking into when we found out in October of 2019 that these things were signed, and then we had subsequent meetings after that October 2019, I felt like we didn't know the whole story, right? We were just told the project's on track, the project's on budget, and it was on time until such time that COVID impacted us. And COVID really didn't start impacting us, as you know, until February, March, right? That's when things really started to slow down. So all those months that went by, even through COVID, we were still told we're on budget and we're on, after COVID started, yes, the project was going to slip a few weeks, but on budget for sure. Had it not been for a resident that got involved and brought it to our attention, I don't know when we would have found out, but probably wouldn't have found out as quickly as we did.
I still don't understand why the building committee, didn't come forward with this information. I think, one of the things that I hear from residents, and I hear a lot of scuttlebutt, and I just sit there stone faced and listen because it's not really for me to answer, any of these questions. But the biggest question that we get, or I get personally, is why didn't this come out sooner? So if there was a resident that knew all this, why didn't the building committee come out and say, okay, we're off budget. There's not enough money here. Why didn't that happen?
I honestly don't know. Mike, all I can tell you is questions were asked by the Board of Finance. It was a standing agenda. It still is a standing agenda item at our regular monthly meetings of the Board of Finance. Updates on bonding projects. You can look through the meeting minutes. It's been on there. So why it didn't come forward, I don't know. I know the Board of Finance was contacted as soon as this individual knew that there was going to be some costs that would have to be incurred to finish the building.
So yeah,
that's when our chairman Scott Davis called for a special meeting to figure this out.
It's got to come out.
Having said that, then roll through those three meetings, and we decide that we got a lot of information back and forth through three meetings from the Senior Center Building Committee, and at that last meeting, a motion was made to, based on Senior Center Building Committee coming back and saying, this is how much we really need for each and every one of these line items that, by the way, was pulled out to get the cost down, don't forget, back in October of 2019, but were truly needed to get the project done. So, I just have a hard time with that. I do. I'm in full support of building a senior center for our seniors, but I think we can't, we can't be the investigative body, the Board of Finance, because that's not our purview. Our purview is to do what's right for the taxpayers when it comes to fiduciary responsibility to the town. So we shouldn't be the investigative body looking into how this happened, why it happened, but I think we owe it to the taxpayers to make sure that we understand how it happened and put some things in place to make sure that this doesn't ever happen again on a project that the taxpayers have approved at a certain figure.
Do we or do we not have an ethics committee in town?
We do.
We do have an ethics
Yeah, we
commission
do.
in town.
So why are they not all over this?
Well, I think for the ethics commission to get involved, I think that there has to be a official complaint followed. They have a process that must be followed in order for them to get involved.
Where do you see it as being an ethics issue? I don't see it as an ethics issue. I see it as a breakdown in communications between the body that was supposed to be
Because
responsible.
somebody knew.
Somebody knew.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Paul. I agree with you. I'm not sure I see it as an ethics issue. I'd see it more as a procedural issue.
Exactly.
No, it's actually me.
Like a standard operating procedure for a project. We need to have procedures in place and checks and balances moving forward. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't happen again.
I mean, I used to be a manager and I ran projects, and we always had an executive committee that we had to report monthly or weekly what the progress was on our projects. And I didn't see that happen in here. So that's what the building committee was put in place.
Dan, that was me that mentioned the ethics committee. So
And
Right.
I disagreed with them.
okay, whatever.
So I guess my question.
I can hit this button here.
I go ahead and knock me out.
No.
So you voted no against
I
it.
did.
So does
Yep.
that mean that you don't agree that we should let the building just sit there as voting no? Is that what you're saying? Come from,
No, I'm not saying that at all. I don't think that the money should come out of the undesignated fund balance. And Paul, I've listened to you a few times. I'm going to have to disagree with you, respectfully, sir. That I don't think that a lot of people are calling it the rainy day fund, right? The
Yeah, right.
undesignated fund balance. So early on, when I got involved with the Board of Finance, I went through some budgeting classes that were made available to me through CCM, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. And one of the things that I learned that stuck out in my memory when considering budgets for municipalities was that undesignated fund balance is there, not as a rainy day fund in so much as you use this to build a building or you use this to pave a road. You definitely don't use it to fund an expense that's a reoccurring expense. So you try not to use it to balance a budget because those things are only going to catch up with you down the road. So years ago, I believe, and I was a youngster at the time, I believe the borough of Jewett City might have gone into receivership, and they had to disband the police force. We had the Jewett City Police Force. Those things were disbanded. So in my mind, the undesignated fund balance is there to make sure that the town can operate should you have a lapse in income or revenue, right? So you can still pay your bills, you can still pay your employees so that the services that are provided to the taxpayers in town can continue to operate until such time that your revenue comes back.
Gotcha.
So if you keep dipping into that for things like balancing a budget, when next year the budget's going to go, the budget's going to go up higher than where you were last year, and at some point you don't have the luxury to keep dipping into the undesignated fund balance for $500,000, $700,000, $1 million, because our bondholders want us to be at a certain percentage. Our percentage of budget that we're supposed to be at for our own policy for the Board of Finance is 8.5%. We are over that, full disclosure. We have more than that in there. But in order to get a good bond rating, our bond, a lot of the bond counsel and our auditors have told us, you need to be somewhere between 12 and 15%, which we are. We're towards the lower end of the 12 and 15%. And that's on your current budget. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 12.5%, 13% of current budget. This year's, the budget that we're in right now, that the budget's going to go up, which means that budget goes up, that 12.5% may turn into something lower than that. So why I say this is important and why I think it's important to understand this is we've got two other projects that we still need to do, infrastructure projects. And it's much like when you go to a bank to borrow money, say you want to buy a house, right? They're going to look at your debt to income ratio. They're going to see if you're overextended on your debt. And your interest rate for that mortgage is going to be predicated on how good of a credit rating you get. If your credit rating's horrible, your interest rate's going to be higher. If your credit rating's good, your interest rate's going to be lower, which will lower your monthly payment. So if we dip too much into that, and if they see that historically we're chiseling down that undesignated fund balance, they're going to say, hang on a second, maybe the interest rate needs to be a little bit higher because the undesignated fund balance seems to be going away. So in order to protect us for years to come on our debt service in town and get a good interest rate to make sure that we can continue to do these types of projects that require bond, I think it's important for us to have a healthy undesignated fund balance so that we're protecting the taxpayers for 20 years to come on lower interest rates.
Yeah, see, when I was looking at that, I was looking at it as by taking it out of the so-called fund. I was calling it rainy day fund because that's what the state of Connecticut calls it. And they take money out of it all the time.
And I was calling it the same thing.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, that's what the state does it all the time. But I was just looking at it as a no impact to the taxpayer, especially at this time when everybody's not just getting back to work and, money's tight. So it would be no impact to taxes this year.
Right.
But as that was my thought behind it.
Right. There would
go ahead.
There would be. I'm sorry, Paul. There would be no impact to the taxes this year, but long term, we're fooling ourselves if we think that there won't be an impact to the taxpayers if we continue to whittle away at the undesignated fund balance, especially when budgets go up with no opportunity to be able to get that undesignated fund balance up to a healthy level, so we're afforded cheaper interest rates on borrowing money.
Yeah, and we all know there's some things coming down the pike eventually here.
Right.
So
and that's the reason why I voted no on that the way that referendum was phrased.
Gotcha.
Are you talking about because of what might be coming to the town?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, in my mind, the senior center needed to be built. They do have a current senior center now, but I really feel that had the roads infrastructure project been as fast tracked as the senior center, we quite possibly could have had economic development in town that would have helped in tax base to offset the cost of the senior center.
Right. Yeah.
So in my mind, the other projects probably should have been at least being done at the same time, if not before, to get some economic development in the town, much like Lisbon did. And we all see what happened over in Lisbon to keep their taxes lower. I think Griswold needs to get on that same track. And it's been since, like you said, we passed that referendum in May 2019, and we still don't have a pipe in the street. We don't so much have a call before you dig on the pavement yet for those projects.
Yeah, my understanding is that it's supposed to start next spring, 164.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told.
Right. So that's a couple years after the referendum went through.
Absolutely.
So,
but again, that was affected by COVID too, because we all know that the people possibilities on 164 had legislation's impacts. There were money impacts with some of those projects that they couldn't get money, so everything was on hold. So why put a pipeline in if nobody's going to build on it? So I think that was the reason for the hold.
Well, yeah, but we didn't know that in May of 2019.
No, we did not know that. And I was because I'm on the commission for economic development. I went around pushing that thing to get it done,
Right. So we're on the same page as far as that goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100% agree. That's one thing I've been saying for a long time. More economic development to help the tax burden for our residents.
So you do not want to see it come from the unassigned fund balance, correct? In your heart of hearts.
I really didn't feel that it should have come from the undesignated fund balance for the reasons my long-winded answer that I just gave you about undesignated fund balance.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of glad that the people that voted no came out and expressed the reason why they voted no, because you're right. When you first started this off, it looked like it was a vote across party lines, which is not. I mean, I realize what you're saying now, but it looked, in our eyes, it looked pretty bad because now, you're on the board to protect the people of the residents of Griswold, not to respect the party, and that's the way it looked at the time. So I realized that Griswold came out and he wrote why he voted no. You just expressed why you voted no. So I mean, I think it's good that you explained it.
Yeah, and I've heard terms thrown around. This is personal. It's political. Nothing could be further from the truth. Yeah. It's not personal. It's not political. For all the reasons that I've described. One, I want to make sure this doesn't happen again. If I could in any way play a small part in making sure that doesn't, I'm all for it. Yeah. And two, like I said, it's about the undesignated fund balance. That's just how I was taught from the CCM way back in my early years on the Board of Finance. And those are the reasons why that undesignated fund balance needs to stay intact at a healthy balance. Yeah. And it's there to make sure that the town can continue to operate. Yeah. Should we really fall on tough times? Not to pave a road and not to build a building and definitely not to offset or balance a budget.
See, now this is the reason why we like to have this kind of dialogue, because Dan, honestly, the other dialogue is if people don't go to the meetings or they don't read the minutes, they get what they think they get out of social media. And I think, and that's where I think those opinions come from, Grizzle now. That's where it's kind of, I said it before. It's just
I try to stay off of those. I do. I'm not going to lie. I do read them just to see what people are saying, as I'm sure we all do.
It's good comedy.
And and sometimes people do form their own opinions and based on what someone thinks they know or thinks that how it should be. Now, having said that, there are some people that comment that are spot on with some of the things that they say. So
you're right, Dan. But the problem with that is that nobody knows who is spot on, because all of the comments are just so they're muddled together. You don't know who's right and you don't know who's wrong.
Right. I think the last time I did post on there in full disclosure, and there was a lot of questions going around about this referendum that's coming up on the 5th. And what happens if it's no? The building just sits there. And honestly, we talked about that as Board of Finance at one of our meetings. And no, if it's a yes vote, obviously the money will come out of undesignated fund balance to complete that project to the tune of an additional $760,000. And by the way, the motion that was made by Board of Finance and approved at that meeting was specific to each and every line item that they have funding in place and not to exceed a certain dollar amount for that particular each particular line item. So those things each one of those line items has to be done for the amount that was approved in the motion that was made and then sent to the Board of Selectmen to go to referendum with. So, having said that, I did comment on, that and said, if it is a no vote and it does fail, then the Board of Finance is going to probably vote on putting it into next fiscal year's budget, most likely in the capital improvement budget, because let's face it is a capital project. And then the taxpayers will be voting on it, I would assume. And I'm just one vote. I'm not saying that's what will happen, but I presume that's probably the way it would go with a no vote. And it would probably be put in the capital budget, and the taxpayers would then vote at the annual referendum for the budget as a whole, because the capital budget would reside in the town government budget. And then you're also, as you guys know, the budgets are bifurcated. So you vote on the Board of Education budget and you vote on the town government budget. Mm-hmm. The capital budget resides in the town government budget when you go to the polls, and then you vote on the Board of Ed budget.
So that, and I'm assuming that's the way you want to see it go personally, for your vote. Or if it's not, which way do you want it to go?
I think that's the way it would have to go. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be put into the capital budget under the town government budget, and then we would vote on it. Some people have said, well, that seems like dirty pool to me. That it got voted down. You have to understand that we're asking for it to come out of undesignated fund balance this year, and then next year's an entirely separate budget that you'll be voting on. So while it may seem like dirty pool to you, unfortunately, that's the process that has to take place in order to complete the building. Because I don't think anyone really wants the building to sit there unfinished and have it wither away. I definitely don't.
No, I don't think anybody wants that, but I think people have it in their heads that it's a possibility. I don't think either way it'll end up being unfinished. I think some way, somehow, the building is going to get finished. It's just when.
Right.
So,
we were all hopeful that when this project was presented to the Board of Finance, that they were hoping that it wouldn't even cost $7.5 million. And honestly, the first time we heard about the project, I think it was in the $3.5 million range, and then it went to the $7.5 million range. And we were told that much of the funding they were hopeful would come from grants. So in our mind, we didn't think at the end of the day would cost us even the 7.5 where we find ourselves today. And then hopeful that maybe they can get some grant funding for this 760,000 that we're going to vote on next week. But typically it's tough to get a grant after your taxpayers have approved funding for a project and the money's spent. I may be wrong on that, but that's my opinion.
I thought USDA was still open, right? They're just still
From what I
looking
understand, the USDA grant is they're very hopeful on receiving that one.
Right.
still waiting.
And I hope they do.
Yep.
I hope they do.
Dan, anything else you want to add? I mean, I really appreciate your time. I mean, you kind of joined us impromptu, and we had talked about it last week. Then we didn't follow up with. Well, I didn't follow up with you. It's my fault.
Yeah. No, I think we covered everything. One last thing that I would just like to. It seems to be a little bit of pitting, like maybe Board of Education or the education of the schools against the senior center. And I think we just, as a town and as a resident, we need to get away from that kind of talk. Yeah. I don't think it does anyone any good. And it's not pitting one against the other. Each project is its own unique project with its own certain set of circumstances. And sometimes things like this happen. And we just need to be able to figure out how to best move forward for the sake of all of our residents in the town. And that's why you have multiple members on all these boards, because we all have our own thoughts and opinions, and no one should be chastised for having those differences of opinions. That's why we live in a democracy here.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. What about you, Austin? You're 19 years old. How do you feel about all this stuff?
Yeah, nothing out of Austin. What's he doing over there?
Interesting to listen to.
He's just hanging out. He's hanging out. He's keeping away the evil spirits. That's what he's doing.
I was gonna say I don't know enough about this to chime in on it, so I'm just giving myself.
Neither do I. That's why I look like an idiot every time I do. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate your time.
All right, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to call in and express my opinions.
Yes, sir.
And I hope you guys get a chance to enjoy the beautiful weather today and have a great day.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was Dan Webster, member of the Board of Finance, and we got a different perspective.
Yep.
Well,
it's important that they explain why they voted the way they did, because like he said, if you don't do that, again, people assume, hey, party line voting.
Yeah.
But if you back it up and say, well, this is why I did this, this, and this, then people change their minds. Say, well, maybe it wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is good. So
very good.
It's important to get all sides of the story.
Correct.
Yes, sir. All right, we're gonna take a quick break and break for news, and catch up on a couple of things, and we will all be back in just a couple of minutes. Keep with us right here on SNSN.
The flagship for Griswold High School sports, and your home for local news and weather.
Broadcasting from Main Street in the borough of Jewett City.
The Streaming News and Sports Network, SNSN.
The 9 a.m. report on the Streaming News and Sports Network is being brought to you by Charlene's Diner, 37 Main Street, Jewett City. Family owned for almost 40 years. Order what you want, eat what you get. That's Charlene's Diner.
I love working here because of the people, and I get to work with my family every day.
Come to Charlene's Diner for the best breakfast you've ever had.
That was Brittany and Matt from Charlene's Diner on Main Street in Jewett City. There are only a few things that have been able to stand the test of time in Jewett City, and one of them just happens to be Charlene's Diner, who just celebrated their 40th anniversary in business. How do you stay in business that long in a small town like Jewett City? It's a simple recipe, really great food and friendly service, and of course, family. You'll feel like family too, because you'll always be greeted with a smile that makes you feel like you're right at home. Stop by for breakfast or lunch 7 days a week. If you don't have any time, well, that's no problem. Order ahead and your food will be waiting for you when you walk into Charlene's door. You can find Charlene's Diner on Facebook too. Stop in and join the family for breakfast or lunch today.
I'm Charlene. Come to Charlene's Diner and order what you want and eat what you get.
Here's a look at your local news headlines on SNSN. The Connecticut Senate has passed a bill that would remove the religious exemption for childhood vaccinations. The Senate vote was 22-14. The bill will now go to Governor Ned Lamont's desk, and he has said he will sign it. The bill previously passed in the House with a vote of 90-53. On Monday, April 26th at about 4:01 p.m., 60-year-old Raymond Coughlin of Canterbury was traveling north on Route 169 in Canterbury in his 2010 Jeep Wrangler Sport when he traveled left over center, according to an eyewitness, continued on its path to the southbound shoulder where he struck a stone wall and overturned the Jeep. Coughlin was pronounced dead on scene. Nothing has been released as to what actually caused the crash. The accident remains under investigation with Connecticut State Police Troop D. There was a minor car accident in Preston yesterday, just before the four corners of where 164 and 165 meet. The road was closed for about 45 minutes or so. Both cars were towed from the scene, and the folks in the accident got away with only minor injuries. If you weren't aware, back last week, effective April 20th, all town services were opened back to the public again, which includes Town Hall. Now, if you do happen to go to Town Hall, you still must wear a face mask and maintain a 6-foot social distance at all times. But Town Hall in Griswold is now open to the public. There are no town meetings scheduled for Griswold today on this Wednesday. Meetings will once again pick up next week. In high school baseball yesterday, Griswold lost to St. Bernard's by the score of 2-1, and Plainfield defeated Wyndham by the score of 4-1.
The 9 a.m. report on SNSN has been brought to you by Charlene's Diner, 37 Main Street, Jewett City. Family owned for almost 40 years. Order what you want, eat what you get. That's Charlene's Diner.
This is your local weather forecast on SNSN. We should have a nice day in eastern Connecticut today. Mostly sunny skies with a high near 75 degrees and a calm wind from the east around 6 miles per hour. Now, tonight we may have a chance of showers or even a thunderstorm between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., according to the National Weather Service. Some patchy fog, temps dropping down to about 52. And then showers are likely tomorrow, mainly in the afternoon, with a little bit of fog in the morning. Temperatures on Thursday around 66.
As a business, your customers are your first priority. At Jewett City Savings Bank, their first priority is helping businesses like yours to succeed. Here's what Bruce Prescott of Zoe and Company in Westerly, Rhode Island, had to say about doing business with Jewett City Savings Bank.
Jewett City Savings Bank's the best bank we've ever dealt with. We've refied multifamily homes through them, single family homes. We've refied our business. We bought a new shop out in Cape Cod. They did all the financing for that. They've been straightforward. Anytime we've needed anything, they have made it extraordinarily easy for us to deal with. I recommend all the time to my other friends of mine that own businesses to deal with Jewett City Savings Bank. I've recommended them year after year.
To learn more about how the commercial lending team at Jewett City Savings Bank can assist you, call 860-376-4444 or go to jcsbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, I'm Miranda Mahoney, Project Coordinator of Grizzle Pride, your drug-free community coalition. We want to help you keep your kids safe during this challenging time. Social distancing is still in effect, and so is the social host law. Reports are coming in that teens are contracting the virus at underage drinking parties. Parents, allowing underage drinking on your property could land you in jail for up to a year, plus fines. Another reason why you should not provide alcohol to our youth. For more info, go to grizzlepride.org. grizzlepride.org. grizzlepride.org.
Hi, this is Alan Gear. You may know me as Mr. Jewett City. I want to tell you about my experience with our local eye doctor, Dr. Joel Zuckerbrun. I recently had cataract surgery, and I was told that I needed new glasses. I didn't know what to do because the problem was this was right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Where the heck was I going to get glasses? I checked places that make glasses. I looked online, and what I found was my solution was practically in my own backyard. So I called Dr. Z, as most people know him. His office is right on North Main Street, right here in the borough of Jewett City. I went to my appointment and had my glasses faster than I would have thought possible. Call Dr. Zuckerman at 376-2848. I trust Dr. Z with my eyesight, and you should too. Make an appointment today.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
We are the future. Griswold Parks and Rec is a parent's one-stop source for all things fun. Town events, sports, fitness, and enrichment for all ages. We love our residents. Let us prove it. Go to griswoldrec.org.
As a business, your customers are your first priority. At Jewett City Savings Bank, their first priority is helping businesses like yours to succeed. Here's what Alan Brown of Maple Lane Farms of Preston had to say about doing business with Jewett City Savings Bank.
Well, I was looking for a new local bank, so I investigated Jewett City and decided to go with Jewett City on our refinancing of our loan at Maple Lane Farms. They were very engaged. The process went very smoothly. We did not only a refinance with the Maple Lane property, but a construction loan on the colonial house that's on the property that we're converting into an Airbnb. They were interested in my business. They got very engaged, and the process went very smooth. So I would recommend in a heartbeat Jewett City Savings.
To learn more about how the commercial lending team at Jewett City Savings Bank can assist you, call 860-376-4444 or go to jcsbank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The legends live here. Cars. Live 24/7.
I love you. You guys are fantastic.
SNSN. Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us here this morning, Paul, and in Austin. Had a good conversation with Dan Webster from the Board of Finance just a little bit ago, and gave us a lot of different views on how he felt about it. Some people feel that it's going to go to referendum on May 5th about the senior center for the cost overruns of $760,000, whether or not it should come from the unassigned fund balance in the town, or should it be part of capital, a capital project. So, Paul, you're a man about town. You're chairman of the Public Health and Safety Committee here in town. You're on economic development. Where do you feel the money comes from?
Well, I can understand where Dan was coming from, because you really, even in your own household budget, if you think about it, you should have, in other words, if you lose your pay for a month, you should have at least a month or 2 months savings to cover any cost you have for that month, so you don't go in a hole. However, let's face it, today, how can people even afford to do that?
Right.
It's pretty much impossible for a lot of people to do that. Maybe I was looking at it from my perspective. I mean, don't forget, I'm a retired person. So when I looked at it coming out of the extra money out of the town, I said, oh, good. No impact to me for taxes, because let's face it, my taxes keep going up, but I'm not getting a raise.
Right.
So I'm living on a fixed income. So that was the reason why I was saying, hey, take it out of the fund. What the hell for? Eventually it'll get built back up again.
So you say, now see, here's the other thing too. You say you are a fixed income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But your fixed income is a lot higher than a lot of other people in town.
I don't know.
Well, I would tend to think so because I know, I mean, we've talked about it, like where your fixed income is from.
Yeah.
And you get a pension and a retirement, correct?
You get a pension.
Okay. Which is sizable.
Not well, I don't know.
Millions.
No. I didn't work.
Austin,
No,
don't let him kid
wait a
you.
minute.
Don't let him kid you.
No.
Don't let him kid you.
I never worked with the state, so I didn't get it. I didn't get close to 100% retirement. So a lot of state employees. So I just got a regular time. Everybody else does. And don't forget, it hasn't gone up.
Don't let him kid you, Austin.
You're working. No, I ain't gonna win that battle anyway. So I'm not gonna try. But that's. I mean. And let's take it. There's a lot of other people in town. Some of the seniors who still own homes, and there are fixed incomes. Maybe a lot of them have retired longer than I have.
Money's got to come from somewhere.
Well, the money will eventually come from
Exactly.
somewhere. But the problem is, if the taxes go up, now you're paying more. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only way I looked at it, was thinking of, oh man, I'd rather keep my taxes go up, because let's face it, there's going to be other budget items that are going to bring the taxes up as well.
Right.
We still have the school budget that's in the main budget for the towns. I mean, there's going to be probably some increase. I don't know. Who knows? But that's why I was looking at it from my own personal perspective. I wasn't looking at it from.
I never have a problem with the school budget, period, because I go over it with a fine-tooth comb every year.
Well, that's a fix.
And
don't forget, there's a lot of fixed costs in there.
there's a lot of fixed costs, and there are things that you can't control, mainly insurance.
Well, not only that, salaries.
Right. Well, insurance and benefits, and
absolutely.
that stuff goes up every single year. And there's nothing you can do about it, and so that's a built-in gain right there.
Right.
So what are you supposed to do? But like for other things, would I vote for a 4.4% budget increase because they want to add programs, for the kids? I would vote for it.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, you look at it. How much does it really cost? Each individual, over the course of a year. Value. It's like a 1%. At 100, if you have $180,000 house, it's not a lot of money. It's like $20.
Yeah. And look what the state wants to do. They want to put on this so-called other tax on top of your tax.
Mm-hmm.
If you own a house that's $300,000, now you're going to have to pay an extra tax.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting nailed by the town, you're getting nailed by the state, and then you get nailed by the federal government because you're raising the taxes.
And $300,000 is not exactly these days. It's kind of median.
Yeah.
Well, it's up there, but I mean,
the prices of houses are going up now, especially during this so-called housing boom that we got going on.
Right.
Right. So house prices are going up. So
that is true. That is true. So other things that are in the news. How about the religious exemption? They voted it down. For vaccinations. Yeah.
Yeah. So now even though that's out, so if you've got to get a vaccination, whether you like it or not. But I think there's a grandfather
for
kids, anybody in kindergarten now. I think it still goes, but anybody who's not kindergarten, it's going to be applied to them that they have to have. So.
Well, we can talk to Brian Lanou, the 45th district representative who represents us and. Voluntown and Plainfield, and Sterling. Yeah, he's going to be here tomorrow.
It's vaccinations should be left up to the parent. I think. I don't think the state or the federal government should be telling you
if you shouldn't have your child vaccinated. That's
correct. Because
it's a parent's prerogative.
Yeah, and some people probably are not even religious related. They're just not getting the dump because they don't think it's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the COVID vaccine. Who the hell knew that was done so quickly that we're very lucky that there really hasn't with the Pfizer and Madonna. I call it Madonna because I didn't get that one.
The Madonna vaccine means I don't have to listen to Like a Virgin anymore, ever.
But anyway, so we're lucky there was nothing really that came out of those. But now you got the J&J one where,
which is the Aldi brand.
the Aldi brand. So, we all took a chance and had it done. I mean, some people are not getting it done.
Hey, I just got my vaccine. Jackson and Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are refusing to get it. They don't
Got
want
it
to get
at I got it at a convenience store because they're giving them out now.
So I bet you can name somebody that hasn't got it, right?
My daughter.
Yeah, she didn't get it because she didn't want it.
No, because she's 14.
Oh, she's 14. Now let's think about people who are proper age. But there are a lot of people that are not.
They're only
getting
giving the vaccine to 16 and up.
16 and up.
She's 14, dude.
You thought you got him there, Paul.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Yeah, But I think this is just the way the government is taking over. So what are they going to do next?
Your guns.
Well, that's next. We all know
Mhm.
that. We know they know they want your guns.
Pretty soon they're going to be holding you at gunpoint to take the vaccine. Because with your own gun.
Well, they're going to make it so tough that you're not going to be able to go anywhere unless you show proof that you had the vaccine.
You know, speaking of going anywhere, I think, and I think I mentioned this to you on Monday. I think people are going to have a hard time just leaving their house, even though it's going to be okay. I think people are going to feel there's going to be a certain group of people that are going to just stay home because that's kind of what they're used to now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And they're almost going to be afraid to venture out. Because what if?
But the one good thing, man, you don't have to wear your mask outside.
That's another thing. If you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask outside anymore.
Have you ever worn a mask outside?
No.
Neither have I. If you think I'm going to wear a mask in my yard, you're crazy.
No, but they're talking about,
no.
Just
There's
out
a
in
person
public
walking
and
down the
stuff.
street right there. Don't mask on.
Yeah, so what?
I mean,
I don't.
So that they took they say, and it only applies to big cities. I mean, because you got people walking downtown. We don't have that issue here.
Right.
Then maybe some people are driving their cars and they got a mask on. You ever notice that?
Yep.
I never understood that one.
What the heck is that?
I don't understand wearing a mask inside the car with your windows up when you're in there by yourself.
Right. I don't
get that one.
I don't get it.
Sometimes I think they might have just put it on and left it on. They might have forgot.
I don't know about you.
Some
When
people.
when I get up in the morning, I don't put a mask on.
Right.
When I get in my car, I don't put a mask on.
Oh my, I forgot. I can't breathe. I'll just leave this mask on.
Man, I can't wait to get the hell out of the store. If I go in one,
Yeah.
as soon as I walk out the door, bloop, gone. Because you can't breathe with the damn thing. So, but but only 24 states have the mask mandate. If you look across the middle of the country, no mask mandates.
Yeah.
It's New England and the completely Northwest.
You got a lot of states out there
You got
going.
left and right. Way far apart, you don't need to wear masks, but in the middle, no masks.
We just did an interview with Dr. Mark DePonte.
Yeah, what did he have?
And why don't you watch it?
I didn't have a chance.
Yeah, sure. He says that the masks. He goes, you got to remember, it's not about you. It's about you helping to protect somebody else. And he also said that you may have the virus, and he said, there's a small amount of people that actually get that will get sick that actually have the virus.
Yep.
He said, but that doesn't mean that it's not mutating within you.
Yep.
And you're getting other people possibly infected.
Yeah. Well, you see where Pfizer now is developing a pill, an oral
Really?
pill that if it's going to help. In other words, if you get sick, this pill is supposed to help you get better.
Yeah.
They're actually working on a pill right now. They hope to have it. I think they said by the December timeframe, the pill will be ready for.
Dad, the COVID pill, it's blue from Pfizer. Now there's another one that's also blue. Which one do I take?
Yeah. Man, they're going to have a reaction to both of them.
Yeah.
What if you took both?
Oh my God. I hope they fight each other.
Yeah. and they always said that if if you take that pill,
Yeah.
and if you have a male arousal up to 4 hours and it doesn't stop, call a doctor. No, I'm calling my best friends. I'm saying, look at this. I am now the man of steel. Sorry, I had to cough.
Well, anyways,
As we're talking about COVID, and
we talked about the government making you take shots. No, I don't know. I think a lot of people are upset over it because the legislature just voted for it and they said we're doing it, whether you like it or not.
and I even asked him. I said, Mark, I said, true or false? Vaccine has nanobots. He just laughed. No, there are no. I said, you got to understand, there are people that believe this stuff.
Sure.
And then he started talking about literally people being delusional. He said, and no matter what you tell them, they're not going to believe you.
Right.
He said, so what do? He goes, you just put, medical information out there, and it's like, what are you going to do? Either people are going to believe you or they're not going to believe you, and it's your choice.
Right.
There are people out there that still believe. Now, here's a story that I heard over the weekend.
Yeah.
That President, or I should say Trump, is still the president, and that they repainted Air Force One.
Say Trump.
So nobody would know that he's still the president.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, you really believe this, right?
Wow.
Delusion. Oh
my God.
Yeah.
That's being delusional. I'm sorry, but there's no. First of all, why would the government repaint the plane? They would just get another plane, move everything out of Air Force One, put it into another plane.
Right.
Why would they go through the business? And if they were repainting it, why is there no video of this?
Yeah.
Some smart ass guy is going to sit there going, I'm going to get him. Yeah. And start videoing. They're painting Air Force One.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It would be out there somewhere, or a photograph. Somebody. No.
Yeah. It's unbelievable what people believe.
Yep.
They're just so gullible.
And as long as it sticks to, if it doesn't stick to their principles and what they want to believe, they aren't going to believe you. It's like they said in the interview, because I edited it down, so and it was he was like, people are going to tell you, well, he was paid to say that. What did you expect him to say? It's like, he's just telling you the facts.
Yeah, and I also asked him, one of the questions was, all of the deaths that have been reported by the state of Connecticut. I asked them, are they actual COVID deaths or COVID related deaths due to some comorbidity that somebody may have, like heart disease or whatever. And I don't even think he believes all of them. I can't speak for him, but you gotta listen to the interview. It's posted or pasted up on all of our social media at SNSN, so you can check out the interview with Dr. Mark DePonte.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So check it out.
Check it out. It's free.
It is free.
Oh God.
All right. So now we know that the state has voted to get rid of the religious exemption for COVID shots for kids.
Not COVID shots.
1-800.
No, not COVID shots.
Not measles.
Measles, rubella, all those shots. Exactly.
877 vaccine for kids. KIDS vaccine for kids.
Oh, no.
That's coming. And then you have the guy with the southern drawl going, here in the government, we don't care that you're the parent. We are going to tell you what to do.
That's the problem.
Measles, we got you.
I mean,
mumps, we got you.
Now, I must
yellow fever, we got you.
I think when we were kids years ago, we used to get, I think we get a measles shot or a German measles shot, things like that. We got them back then.
Yeah.
So
Polio.
polio. Yeah. But
Skittles.
yeah.
Are you even listening to what I'm saying? Snickers,
Skittles. That's a make believe M&M.
1877 vaccines for kids.
Yeah. I don't know. As a parent, I mean, it's your should be up to you to make that decision. And the government never told us to get our kids should get vaccinated. We just felt that we should probably get this vaccine or not get that vaccine or whatever. I mean, that was the job of the parent. What's next?
What's next? I'll tell you what's next. Free drinks.
Yeah.
Great segue.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a
yeah.
good
Well,
segue.
you get the kids vaccinated, then bring them out, get them drunk.
Exactly.
Free drinks by some restaurants, not around.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go to ctvisit.com, which is a state commerce website, I think it's part of the travel bureau. They're having a promotion, so to speak, which I forget the week. It's in May. Is it May 13th to the 19th or something like that? That if you prove, with your vaccination card, then there's going to be a digital identifier coming out soon too. You're going to be on your phone. So that's another thing that's coming. Just saying.
Wow.
But if you show that you're fully vaccinated through participating restaurants and bars, they will give you a free alcoholic or free non-alcoholic beverage to enjoy with your meal. Now, of course, it's hopefully to push people into restaurants and getting them out or whatever. But let me ask you: does a free alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage, Paul, does that scream to you, I'm gonna get out there and visit this restaurant because?
Well, it's twofold because they're really doing that because they want you to get vaccinated too. It's another way. So
all right. So let me ask you a question instead. Do you think more people are going to get vaccinated because they can get their free beer? At
you never know.
So
you're the local guy who needs a beer.
And there are just so you know too. There's nobody in Jewett City right now that is participating.
Nobody
in Wyndham County at all.
I don't think there's anybody in London County.
There's a couple in Mystic. No,
Mystic.
There's a few in Mystic. Okay. And one in Niantic. So
that's where tourists go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's down there.
So well, why not use that to bring them here?
Would it be worth it?
That's my point. If you're on the fence, right, about getting the vaccine, and then all of a sudden you hear, oh, well, I can get myself a free drink if I get 2 shots. Yeah. Is it worth it to you? Will that tip you over the edge? No. That's my point.
No. Some it might, but the majority it won't.
No. It's
unfortunately in your case, some of it.
Yeah. And it's like I told Paul, it's not worth it.
I agree. It's not something that'll make me go
get up and after I get my shots to drive to a restaurant. I can just have a soda at home. It's not worth it. It's not worth the powdered bloat here.
No, they gave you a free steak. That'd be different.
Oh, that'd be
if somebody says you're getting a 1 pound ribeye, then I'm on my way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Give me 6 shots.
Exactly.
I'll take them all.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I'll take all 3 brands. That would be 5 shots.
Yeah, 5
sticks.
That's right. Until they bring in AstraZeneca.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
All right, it's going to wrap things up for us today. We are out of here, and we will be back tomorrow with Time Travel Thursday, and also Brian Lanou. Mix or match as you want. It could go either way.
You can ask him how he voted with
yeah, that will come up tomorrow. All right, Austin, thank you very much. Austin, now Austin's day begins with his editing.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. So we will see you once again tomorrow, right here on SNSN. Have a great day, everybody.
Hello, I'm Miranda Mahoney, Project Coordinator of Grizzle Pride, your drug-free community coalition. We want to help you keep your kids safe during this challenging time. Social distancing is still in effect, and so is the social host law. Reports are coming in that teens are contracting the virus at underage drinking parties. Parents allowing underage drinking